Happy Thursday, everybody. Man, the lads are in control. Me and Chris on the stream. Adam is getting a much needed rest this week. I hope this man comes back ready to do 52 shows per day, as he usually does. Good to see Bratoshi reposting the stream. Got 100 people in here live viewing.
Good morning. Good morning.
I pulled a switch up. I renamed it to the Hustle Show.
Oh, shoot. Damn.
We're some hustlers now.
Guys, he's asserting his executive control over the show title today. So lads are in control.
The lads are definitely in control. I gotta say, Chris, yesterday you posted the greatest meme I've ever seen of hustle. Dude, just absolute gem. How are you putting these together, man? Dude, you're like literally the hustle meme pusher.
Of course, dude. Who controls the memes controls the message, man. You know that. Look at that.
I died, dude.
In between some work, you just have to have some time to create a couple memes for the lads on the timeline. That's a classic, bro. You guys didn't know what was under that fedora, but now you know what's under the fedora.
Oh man, dude, great meme. I gotta say, the guy who is in that, it looked like he was at Encore Beach Club, but I couldn't really tell.
No, he's definitely in Europe. Yeah, he was out in Europe, but I mean, he's the Ibiza final boss. Mav knows about the final boss. You can ask Maverick about the final boss, but I mean, the internet, just so everyone knows, the internet is the greatest thing that's ever happened to humanity. I mean, every day it provides us with endless laughs, love, knowledge, empowerment. I mean, there's nothing better than just being on the internet, being a kid of the internet. And I mean, it's incredible that we're able to just do this for free. I mean, that we can laugh like this for free, right? These people they become legends overnight. That guy, he was just a regular guy. One day, partying, looking the way that he looked. For whatever reason, he decides to look like that. The next day, he's an internet sensation. His life was changed forever. And so we live in the greatest time to be alive in the history of the world. And I just hope that people realize that.
Oh my God, dude. The guy reminded me of Toad from Mario.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he chose to go out in public looking like that. Like, he was like, this is the style. This is the look. This is what we're going with. This is going to be hot.
I literally can't. I gotta know, what are you doing to more of hustle into these memes? What AI tool are you using?
Oh, I just use ChatGPT for everything. It's the most powerful, especially for images. Grok has like less safeguards on it, so sometimes in ChatGPT it won't process specific images if it thinks that they're copyright or something. So you can take an image. Grok doesn't have as many safeguards, so you can put it into Grok, translate it into like a Ghibli or something like that, and then you can take that Ghibli and then you can put that into ChatGPT as kind of like a jailbreak. And so there's always workarounds. And so sometimes people are like, oh, it won't let me create this image. Well, there's always a workaround for AI. It's just like all about the messaging, and it's all about maybe doing it in layers rather than doing it all at once. The best advice that I ever saw for just editing in AI, editing any kind of graphics or basically anything at all, it's like it works way better with a scalpel than it does a chainsaw, which obviously kind of makes sense, but you can't ask it to change too many things at once. You have to ask it to change it gradually. So you get something correct, then you say, create me this exact image again with this minor change, and you just go through it in little layers. It saves you a lot of time.
And I gotta start getting on board with this, man. Your meme game. We need to create like an Agent Hustle meme folder, or just consistently. I wish like the Twitter communities had like a meme folder where you could just upload images too.
That would take it to the next level too. We do have the archive. We could make it public. Maybe we should. The community's talked about that, but we'll have to see.
That we will. Well, now that it's renamed the Hustle Show, I guess we should give the people one and dive into what's going on.
You had a good meme, a new community meme yesterday as well. Have you ever considered delivering? Did you ever just think, but maybe you should start delivering? Have you thought that maybe that would work?
Delivering some memes?
No, just as a team.
Oh. Yeah, that's gonna be the one where once you pass the all-time high, gotta post it again. Where it's the hustle dips getting dippier. The team needs to deliver, or we're in trouble.
Like the team works on this all day, every single day, 24 hours a day, every single day of the week, because like we're driven by passion and not by profit. And literally, like this is what we do for our lives. As lame as maybe outsiders might think that is, that's like literally what we do all day, every day. I mean. And, we've been building since the token was 0. We've been building since the token was 20 million. We've been building since the token was at 600,000. We've been building it since the token was at 35 million. And we're just going to continue to do that every day. Like it would be physically impossible for us to do it anymore. And it just reminds me of that like recent viral DM. It was like, have you guys considered increasing your revenues as a company? And it's like, some community suggestions are great. And then others are just like, they just DM you like the most obvious shit ever. Like, hey, have you considered partnering with Pump Fund or something like that? Or have you ever considered like partnering with the Solana Foundation? And it's like, oh, damn, I didn't think of that one. That's you're right. Let's just do that. Like, bro, I mean, obviously, some of these things they don't happen overnight. And it's not as simple as just being like, snap your fingers, and hey, you should be the AI of the Solana Foundation. Like, oh, damn, thank you for that. Like, I don't know. We appreciate the community always and stuff. It just some of the suggestions sometimes is just like, I don't know how easy people think that some of this stuff is, but it's extremely hard and it doesn't happen overnight.
Somebody messaged me today and they're like, you should hit up OKX and get listed. And I was like, yeah, we heard you applied to that. And he's like, well, why aren't you listed? And I was like, it's not my choice.
You should DM Binance too. Just DM Binance and get on the exchange.
I gotta say, I got connected with Gate the other day, and holy fuck, dude, the bidding for these like to get listed on some of these exchanges is like insane. Like the amount of money they want you to pay is like nowhere near worth the value of what it is nowadays. Like I saw a stat the other day where it's like 40 to 45% of crypto volumes is now on chain. So you're
Right.
basically going to pay $200,000 for a listing that you get literally the same amount of volume on chain.
And accelerating, right? I mean, on chain has never been more prolific throughout the entire industry. You talk to a person who's gotten into crypto since 2020. They're using Bird Eye, they're using Phantom, they're using Jupiter, they're using Photon. They're not using OKX and Kraken and Binance. That's why even if you look at all the most recent Binance listings, they're all straight down, nuked straight down. It's like that's what FTX used to be, because they would just list perps and they would just short them to death. And then if the exchange listing was actually the death of the token. So exchanges, God bless, have never been more irrelevant than they are today in the history of this industry. And, as crypto idealists, this is something that we've been working on forever. We always said, we need to get away from these centralized exchanges. They have too much power within the industry. And funny enough, through all the hate that it's gotten, it was Solana that's gotten the most people on chain rather than any other chain, over Bitcoin, as decentralized as it is, over Ethereum, who has, the first to kind of create and proliferate decentralized applications and things of that nature. But it was Solana who actually got the most people on chain. So thankful that that's the trajectory, but still a lot more to go. But these exchanges, it's incredible that they're still as gatekept as they are when they're more irrelevant than they've ever been.
I don't know if you saw yesterday, Gemini announced that they're building a layer 2. So now the exchanges are trying to get on chain with their own. It's going to be more ghost towns.
It's the only way. It's literally the only way.
That's that is the way. So Adam says, damn, buff guy. Hi guys, why did the hustle price go down? Seems like big whales are in there, because every time it would go up, they would slam it down. If liquidity isn't locked, they can just stomp on you. Well, the liquidity isn't locked because we control the LP. Like the hustle team, which is us, had full control with 99.1% of the liquidity. So if we were to pull the liquidity, then we would literally just nuke our entire project and reputation. So that's not going to happen. Are there whales? Yeah, a lot of whales seem to have taken profit. What do you expect? The token went from 1 million to $39 million in 30 days. Some of these people are sitting on almost 40 X's. Like there's going to be profit taking at some point. It seems like we have found a bottom, maybe famous last words, but around 10 mil, sitting at 14 mil.
And
go ahead.
I was just going to say, not to be tongue in cheek, but any person or entity that's selling has also bought. Like nobody is complaining when these tokens were bought off the market. And it's just natural that the market's going to be the market. We're just going to continue to build great products, because that's what actually impacts the token price. It's easy to get caught in the day-to-day and say, oh, it's up, it's down, but it's much easier to just say they're building great products for the long term. And this is a place that I feel comfortable parking my cash.
Yeah, a lot of these people held literally, some people bought below $1 million in I think the low was 600,000. So some of these people literally sitting on almost 100x. Some cases, like it'd be crazy not to take at least some profit. I was even telling people in the chat to take some profit, and sometimes you could just buy back lower. Like I know it's a strategy a lot of people practice, but man, I've held things to zero so many times. Like you need to keep yourself alive during this time. And there was somebody was saying like they could sell right now and buy a house, and I was like, dude, why don't you do that?
They like when I'm the devil on the other shoulder, and I say, hold on to it, double down on that.
Mortgage the house. You don't need a house. You got a box, bro.
Right. But I mean, the TLDR is that we're here for to make a difference and to transform the way that these companies operate, and what it means to be like a crypto first company and things of that nature. And Emblem Vault's been building towards this kind of vision since 2016. And it's just not going to stop. We're just not going to stop. Like, if you want a team that's going to be building with high ideals, high integrity, that builds innovative, disruptive products for the long term, I mean, that's what Emblem Vault is. That's what Agent Hustle is. And we're just not going to stop. So the market's going to market, but we're going to continue building through it all.
The market is absolutely going to market. So sitting around 15 mil, got up to 2,500 holders or so, 27. So looking pretty good. Back to where we were pre migration itself. Lots of catalysts that are on the horizon. One thing, right? It's funny in the whales chat. There's like a few people like as the price was going down, they're like, "We need catalysts. We need things." And I was like, "Dude, there's literally catalysts launching like every week." The one thing that I've noticed on Solana is that the velocity of capital increases, but a lot of that is short-term capital, right? So like with Solana, and you're more experienced in this area, but as the price starts going up, you see just this big swarm of traders coming in who are literally only going to hold it for like a few hours or maybe a day at most. So once the price does get moving, it goes up higher and faster, but then it comes down with more dramatic impacts because a lot of that's just short-term capital. Does that seem historically correct?
Yeah, just it really, you kind of honed in on this more than anyone that I've ever met, that like a lot of these things are generational. A lot of these blockchains seem to be generational in the way that they're adopted, and the way that they're adopted actually kind of like fits their mannerisms. Like a lot of Gen Z are on chain on Solana, and they have the shortest attention span. So what's that mean like for their trading style? It's going to have the shortest attention span. And I saw some crazy ass stats, bro. Some like that like, I mean, obviously the high frequency traders are going to bring down the average by a lot, but it was like the average hold time was like 60, it was like 60 seconds or something like that.
Holy fuck.
Yeah, it was insane. And so like, and that's like throughout, I don't know, whatever time they were tracking it, but I was like, holy shit. I mean, the average hold time for a lot of these are some people are really only planning to hold some of these things for like an hour. They're trying to make that 2%, 5%, whatever, and bounce out. So crazy. But yeah, their trading styles definitely reflect their mannerisms and how they were kind of raised. So attention is expensive. That's what everyone wants. Everyone craves attention, and it's very competitive. So their attention span kind of matches their trading style.
Yep, absolutely correct. So some of the catalysts that we do know, there was a post out today of all of the teams that are migrating. We have 8. Stickman dropped out today because they were rewarded pump CTO tokens. I did some research into this to try to understand what was going on. But first and foremost, the teams that are joining us so far that have announced is Project 89, IQ 6900, Modern Stoic, Kitty, Freya, Realis Worlds, Radar, and Pokey the Hamster. The thing that I've noticed with all the teams that are migrating, there's a lot of quote unquote ICM market type tokens, a lot of tech tokens that are migrating over, more than memes, at least for all the projects that are coming out. So maybe Bonk, and most of these are migrating to Bonk. IQ's migrating to Radium Pool. There are a few others that are doing Radium, but it seems like there's like a growing trend of long-term builders or quote unquote ICM markets that were launched on Pump Fund that want to get the hell out and start fresh on Bonk because maybe there's a fresher quote unquote ICM market, or just call it a tech market, I guess. Right. And this is what Believe app kind of builds around. And I noticed that Jupiter Studios also is trying to do something similar. So, right, it's just basically launch pad for long-term teams or tech companies. And I only think that trend's going to continue to proliferate. So congrats to those teams. We still got a bunch more. There's still a bunch more. Everyone's going to talk, or everyone's going to announce under their own discretion and time. And, I'm going to let them. So people, please stop asking me how many teams and who and what. Like, let the things play out. So Chris put that in the chat. Let the things play out. Partake in the time and interest and have some fun, man. And take these, few weeks for this like kind of consolidation period to really, take control. There's still opportunity. I think I put this out the other day for literally one person or a few people to literally become like the 10K, 20K influencer of the hustle community. I haven't seen anyone really fully take on the lead yet. There's a few people who are trying for it, but this is how I grew my account. Was I was in the Mooncats community literally with like 1,000 followers. And I just started putting out content literally every day about Mooncats. And as Mooncats became more popular, more interested, everyone started following my account to get all the information. So, and I used to put out most of the content during kind of these like slower periods when people are looking for information, people are looking for opportunities. So just, take advantage of that. Adam Gottlieb says, thanks guys. So do you think it could hit $1? YouTube it. No one else is talking about Agent Hustle. How do you plan to market it better? So when marketing, I guess Number Go Up Technology is the best marketer itself. I'd just follow the account and continue. We're just going to continue doing the same marketing that we've always been doing. Seems to be working. And don't have infinite amount of capital. Paid advertisements does not work in crypto. So I wish people would kind of understand that does not work in this sector.
Yeah, I guess that for Agent Hustle, for all of our products, I mean, our customers are always going to be our best marketers. Our users are always going to be our best users or our marketers. So we're really focused on growing our users because that in turn grows our marketing engine. And how do we grow our users? Well, we build better platforms. We build more useful tools. And we just kind of let people know that these tools and these empowerment kind of platforms are available to use. And so our users are growing, our platforms are growing, our revenues are growing. All three of those kind of impact the token price, and those in tandem all create like a much more vibrant ecosystem that will in turn on the marketing engine and kind of grow itself. So all of our products are really reflexive, and I foresee that kind of continuing in the biggest way.
That it will. People are starting to learn that Migrate Fund is the attention vehicle with the controversy that comes with it, and the limited controversy, I should say.
It's just a moving company, guys. That's all. It's a moving company. The more people that move, the more people are going to be like, oh, they moved. That was pretty easy. And then they're going to want to move, or maybe they won't want to move, but some people will always want to move. People have been moving since the beginning of time. Look back to the earliest settlers, the earliest people on the frontier, the Christopher Columbuses, everyone that migrated from the early where civilization started in Africa. What did they do? They migrated outward because they wanted other opportunities. They needed different resources. And that's the same thing with blockchains. We talk about how blockchains are just like countries, and they have different, perspectives and different attributes and things that they can offer. And so people are naturally just going to migrate. And that's what's going to happen within these communities as well.
Yeah. Fudding a moving company. Unfortunate.
Get a job.
You could vampire attack it, I guess. Brandon says these are all foundations being laid down, and it will take some time for these things to start taking traction. Yeah, absolutely. The migration conversation is happening now. I'm seeing larger accounts bring up the idea of migrations. We've had people ask, can you migrate to Pump Fund? Can you do cross-chain migrations? Can you do this? Can you do that? Yeah, all of it's actually very possible. The one thing I'll say here is I've had some people say, why aren't you migrating to Pump Fund? Well, the interest is to migrate out of Pump Fund. As I posted earlier today, you show us the interest, we'll show you the outcome. And we reached out to a bunch of teams before Migrate Fund launched, and Radium showed the most interest. Actually, they were the only one to respond to us, and they were fully on board with it. And with them came Bonk Fund, and they were like, fuck yeah, dude, let's do this. So I haven't heard from anyone else. To integrate into a launchpad, to migrate to a launchpad, actually requires some business development, because there's like trade-offs, and you can't just do like a straight technical integration. So for other liquidity platforms or launchpads, they have to approach us, or they have to respond to us, and we have to go through that conversation for that to happen. But we love, working with Radium and Bonk Fund. They've been really great, and they see the vision, and I have no reason to change that. And it seems like the majority of people want to go to Bonk, regardless of all this FUD that I see on the timeline, which is kind of crazy. Chris, what's your take on all of that, between people saying that Bonk Fund's inorganic, people are saying Pump Fund's inorganic, Alon's pumping the price, everyone's washed now? What's going on with all this turmoil over here?
I mean, I wouldn't say that everything is organic. I would say most things are inorganic to some extent. There's always a sleight of hand somewhere down the chain, down the daisy chain. What matters is that users win. It doesn't really matter how they win, and the more opportunities that they have to win, that's what they're looking for. And so getting these platforms to compete for users is a win for the communities and the creators and the users. And so us as a just simple moving company, on-chain moving company, just honest day's work, moving, communities and creators to where they need to go, wherever they would best fit their needs. We're allowing them to go and prosper in which places would best fit their communities. And It doesn't really matter who is the sleight of hand. That's maybe some of this is organic. I'm sure that some of it is. You know, the early days of Binance were extremely inorganic. That's kind of how they got ahead. Look at FTX. All of that was inorganic, right? And we've seen that throughout history. But I think that just most importantly is that these platforms competing for users is a net win for users, and that's what we're really looking for. So we're here to empower the communities, creators, and the users, and the platforms are going to do what the platforms are going to do. But we're fans of freedom technology, and I think you should have the freedom and the opportunity to move wherever fits your needs best.
Freedom to migrate to the next meme is gonna drop on the 6529 cards.
Freedom.
So Stickman came out, right? They said that they said we're proud to have met a team with that much knowledge, helping open arms like yours, referring to Migrate Fund. For all the communities who think about Migrate their token, Jake and Migrate Fund are ones referred to. It's not about migration; it's about the after work you do. Big kudos. So the thing that happened with Stickman is they announced their migration. And then Pump basically came in and said, here's your CTO rewards. So, lose a little bit of a business, but this is exactly what Chris talks about is it puts power back into communities. And if they have the option to move, then they will. And if the platform has an opportunity to give them their demands or their rewards or whatever their support is, then they'll do it. And so this is kind of showing that Pump Fund's watching. Pump Fund is seeing.
Right. Look at this. I mean, well, look at Migrate Fund, not 1,953 followers. A little 1,900 follower account is putting pressures on the biggest protocols in the industry to actually incentivize their communities and creators. That alone is worth all of the drama that's ensued. It's worth everything that we've built so far, just so that we can finally get communities and creators and users the recognition and the rewards that they deserve. But teams have many more reasons to migrate than just like simple rewards and being recognized by a protocol. So not worried about the business of Migrate Fund. I think that it's a huge business and it'll continue to grow. The more people see how successful teams are able to navigate their way through the platform, but just having that much impact on Pump Fund and their trajectory as a business and getting them to pinch off more rewards to the creators that made them who they are is a huge win. So we're super proud of that internally.
Yep. Good display. Good display. So you got the Meteora co-founder coming out against migrations, and now you got Pump Fund rewarding their creators. So the caveat here is, so Stickman launched on Pump Fund. So Pump Fund can turn CTO rewards on to all Pump Swap projects. They cannot do that to the ones that were before Pump Swap because it's a Radium Pump Fund collaboration. I don't know what the mechanism is on the back end, if there was like profit sharing or what it was, but previously, before Pump Swap, it was that the token would launch on Pump Fund's bonding curve, and then it would bond to a Radium pool. And so then this is kind of where all this whole drama started, is then Pump Fund came out and said, well, if we own the top of the funnel, we should own the end of the funnel, which is the Pump Swap LP. So they basically cut out Radium and they created their own Pump Swap. So then they have the full control end to end. And then Radium came out a few months later and came out with Launch Lab SDK, which is their bonding curve. So think of it as the front of the funnel. And then Bong Fund is built on top of Launch Lab SDK, which is by Radium. So,
and, I don't know if people realize how much money they're leaving on the table in a lot of these cases. You're doing like $3-4 million a day in volume. That's like $10,000 a day that your community that can be going to buy back your token, that can be going to your community to improve and spread the gospel of your project, whatever it might be. I mean, $10,000 a day, that's, $300,000 a month, 300,000. So these are the opportunities that people came to Web3 and crypto for, to create new different types of business models, to find new types of revenue models that kind of fit and proliferate within their different communities. And most communities are just giving that to Pump Fund. And like some small 1,953 follower account came around and said, that's not okay anymore. And we're going to build something that empowers creators and communities to have a stand against that if they so wish. And that's all we are. We're a simple on-chain moving company that the biggest players in the industry are taking huge notice to. So empowerment deserves and belongs to the communities and creators, and we're here to fight for them.
That we absolutely are. And what we're going to continue to fight for is integrations for Agent Hustle. And there's a lot incoming. I've been teasing out the Meteora integration, which is close to being done. Got the DLMM pools, working on the DAMM pools. I got to say, as we've been building through Meteora, their API services are not anywhere close to what Radium offers. So there's a limitation to what can be done. I don't know if Meteor does this intentionally because they don't want third-party builders or what, but it is quite limited. So with Meteora, you'll just get DLMM and DAMM, which I think is the top 80 or 90% of the volumes, but we're not able to integrate things like their LST pools and some of their other ones because they just literally don't offer the APIs to do it. But Meteor is a big one that people want. It's the second most popular liquidity pool provider on Solana, and it's important. And this is the cool kind of business decision from us. The Meteor co-founder came out against migrations, but that's not going to stop us from integrating Meteor into Agent Hustle. Like that would be a terrible business decision, right? So we can get past personal decisions and slights and stuff and still continue to onboard and build things that our users want. We do have the leaderboard that's been in development as well, includes the P&L, referrals and volumes and a few other things. Continuing to work on conditional trading, the conditional trading system. And this thing is a bitch to build. I got to be honest. Seems like there's just like always something kind of slightly off with it. So still, I would consider it in beta, but it's still being tested, still working. There's just like a few kind of small tweaks that we got to make. So I think once that is like completely fluid, then that's when the Hustle subscriptions probably turn on, which is for tokenomics, right? Encourage buying of Hustle, transactional volume. That's what the people want. In some other news, so there was one partnership that was announced or integration called Geoff, which was announced by our good friend H. Wander. So I have here pulled up the blog post where he goes on and talks about something called meta models. Economic agents need data and hyper context. H goes on to say the full ultimate UX pattern for AutoFi is chat full stop. So meta models, adaptive model architecture for autonomous economic agents. You can go ahead. I'll pin it up to the top in a little bit, but you can go ahead and see that post. At the end, he comes down and says, thanks to everyone building and contributing to Geoff, includes Polly, Attorney Bro, Funk, Soupy Dev, and then Shannon and myself, and my little guy who set up the model router. He takes after me. So that is something to look forward to. A few people want to know what it is, what exactly is going on here. Well, I can say from our perspective, I don't want to release everything because, again, that's for his decision to make on how they want to go about it. But, H and Polly and the Pond community kind of take a step back and look at the opportunity here, and then we could dive into some of the technicals. Right, H and Polly, they have a huge community. Regardless of what your perspective is on Polly himself or H, they're builders who have a very large community. And I know Chris and I know H personally. We've known each other in real life for years before each of us were even building anything. This is when Chris and I had native research, when we were doing little crypto meetups in Las Vegas. And so, known this guy for a long time. And there's rare opportunities like this that are presented where you can work with a community that's completely isolated from the the typical KOL, the typical kind of everyday users that you see on the timeline who just shift liquidity back and forth. This is a community that has near 10,000 active users, and I've seen the numbers. This is like a real thing. Where you can basically onboard them to your community or have some sort of crossover opportunity, right? Like some of the other communities like this is like the Ripple community. Like the people who love Ripple only love Ripple. They are diehard XRP army, and they do not buy anything else, right?
Incredible community.
the craziest cult of them all, literally. You got a few other ones, right? Cardano is kind of like this as well. The people love Cardano. They usually don't buy anything else. They're just like diehards. And the the Pond community and the Poly H community is very similar. There's crossovers to like the Funks community, obviously Pond and like Pepe and such. And so we work together on this. And Jeff is, I guess you could say powered by Agent Hustle is kind of like the most I'll say there. But it is a very big opportunity here where a select number of their user base will be using our services integrated into their platform. And it should increase our daily active users by 5 to 10-fold immediately. And if everything goes well, then, potentially 20, 30x the active daily users. And this sets us up pretty well for the vision of Agent Hustle as the AI router, which we've discussed ad nauseum, similar to, Chainlink has the Oracle, OpenSea has Seaport, Uniswap has their router, and Jupiter has their router. These 4 companies, everything is built off of their APIs, or you could say their B2B services. So OpenSea would never die, even though everyone calls for the death of OpenSea every day. OpenSea will never die because every marketplace is built on top of their tech, right? And so this is kind of how you win, is you get everyone using your services. And at some point, you're just so integrated in that you're essentially like kind of too big to fail. I don't say that lightly, but the idea of Agent Hustle is, a trading agent, an analytical agent, a companion agent that any team can basically use and white label and apply their own infrastructure on top of it. So think of it, I guess it's like a wrapped Agent Hustle, where Agent Hustle is like a wrapped in multiple AI models. So you're just getting wraps on wraps. But for the majority of teams, 99% of teams, they don't want to have to build this whole AI infrastructure out and manage inference costs and API integrations and the maintenance of APIs changing and stuff like that. They'd rather just use your endpoint, pay a fee, pay a service, and then add their own kind of stuff on top of it. And this is kind of really one of the first real use cases, or I guess you could say case studies of this being out in practice. And yeah, can be more excited to work with them.
Facts. And Jake's dropping a lot of alpha just in terms of like the direction of Hustle and how capable it is, not only like as, B2C, business to consumer, but business to business, and how many custom integrations we're able to make through white labeling for basically all the biggest players on the Solana ecosystem and just kind of across blockchains as well. So all of Agent Hustle's technology is super easy to integrate across all blockchains. And that means it can integrate across all different blockchain partners. And our users are pretty strong right now, but we're able to kind of grow exponentially through some of these integrations and updates through these custom integrations. And I think that, we see that we know the direction, we see the vision, and we've had conversations with pretty much all of the top players in the industry. And as soon as we kind of knock out some of these custom integrations one by one, it'll become much more obvious how powerful Agent Hustle is, not only consumer facing, but from the business to business side too.
Yeah, that's kind of where you want to be. The B2B, costs or the revenue from that is quite substantial. Obviously, we still have a lot of experiments to run through and case studies and figuring out the right adequate pricing and such. But the revenue from that is substantially larger than what can come from Migrate Fund, although that is also large. So you think about tokenomics here, where you have buybacks from Migrate Fund coming in for a Hustle. Then you have buybacks from the Agent Hustle trading fees on the platform. And then you have buybacks from subscriptions and buybacks from B2B services, right? You could get very forceful velocity on this as more people adopt Agent Hustle. Obviously, the bills on the back end increase alongside that. But, as we do this slowly, I don't think there's really any other teams competing in the sector. I see Banker has their SDK, which I was looking at like a week ago, in which we can integrate as well. But theirs was more integrate their APIs so that you can kind of, so you could have a list of all of the wallets associated with the Twitter accounts to do airdrops, which is something we easily could do. Integrate Banker API, and now you can just send Solana to any Twitter account, right? Like super simple things like that. And we have one bigger I should say partnership integration coming. Again, this is one where there's like contracts being signed and stuff. So for some people, you know, they get upset when you say, hey, it's going to be probably around this time, and then it's 2-3 weeks later. So I just say that that is coming, and that there's generally a lot of things moving in the back end. So a lot of cool stuff. And then for the Migrate Fund, to kind of wrap up the whole agent hustle sector, when is the first great migration wave? You know, we will announce that. There's still, you know, a handful of teams kind of on the fence or talking with exchanges, kind of going through their process that they need, as well as we have larger partners, right? Like Radium and Bonk also are kind of on their schedules. They have to go through their due diligence, and then an audit as well. That's about to begin, right? So lots of moving parts, but the one thing you know for certainty is that this is definitely happening. Like there's there's no uncertainty around this not happening, and we'll continue to do so. So bullish on hustle that nothing else matters. Yesterday's dip was awesome. Loaded up 200 million as FUD from Shizzy on the stream. Let's go. Absolutely good time. Couldn't be more excited. The hustle price is now sitting around like 13 mil or so, got up to 40 mil. So a little 75% correction or so. Still doing good. It was literally hustle at one point was like 3-4 million away from flipping Griffin and becoming the #1 Solana DeFi protocol by market cap. Soon. Still coming. Yeah, you know, generally don't always crack it at the first attempt, but you keep going and forward. So we see here from the top, you got Banker as #1 at 75 mil. Banker's been on a crazy run as well. So kudos to them and good to their community. Their MFers backing is, I think, like the key there. They've had literally the MFers community come in and just fully bolt hard post it into oblivion. Michael Lee, the homie, is kind of front and center there with the Grok token as well. So congrats to them. You have Auto Nolas or Olas, which is at 41 million. Then you have Griffin at 35, Cortex at 33, Hayanon at 31. Barry's been on a run recently as well, 15 mil, and then we're down to 12.4. Looking around the kind of sector, I don't know. I could go over to Hayanon or to Banker here in a second. I saw Banker integrated the Uni chain, which was the Uniswap chain. I forget that thing even exists, to be completely honest. So they integrated the Uni chain. I think you could do like cross-chain swaps. So Uni chain's not supported. Interact with Uniswap's layer 2 blockchain. Bridge swap, deploy coins. So basically taking their same tech stack, just deploying it to a new chain. So I think Banker is kind of really set up their blueprint now. And we're kind of getting into this kind of similar groove as well from the agent hustle side. So bridge swap, deploy coins. That's like the Banker tech stack. And then they just take this and deploy it to different EVM chains, so on and so forth. Chris, you have any thoughts on Banker's crazy run the last like few weeks?
Well deserved, man. I love the Banker team. I love what they're doing. They have some of the best integrations. They have like a base version of what Hustle is, and Solana is a Solana version of what Banker is. And so I think both of them have ambitions to go cross chain, but we need more. I want another Banker. I want a Banker on Ethereum. I want a Banker on maybe Cardano. Like the industry and the subcategory of DeFi AI is so small. We need more people actually building this technology. But if you want to give the entire industry to Hustle and Banker, I'm okay with that too. So I love the Banker team. I think they have a great product. They have great marketing, and they're really kind of finding their niche. So hats off to the Banker team.
Yeah, they've really been kind of crushing it. And then second place has been Hayanon for a little while, at least by market cap. I've seen some indifferent posts about them, but they are continuing forward. So it looks like they have a Hyperliquid integration that happened recently. It looks like they are doing some in real life meetups, and
They're doing something. I don't know.
They're doing something.
I don't know exactly what it is, but I know that they're doing something, and that counts. Something.
Yeah, it's one of those thoughts where it's almost too much going on, and I think I saw people in our chat. I'm not in their Telegram, but I saw people in the Hustle chat talking about how Hanon's community was getting frustrated because there's too many tokens, too many things. It's tough to kind of process all of it. But the way that I look at it is I just consider it the advanced trader AI tooling. I think it's kind of the best way to understand it. So it looks like they integrated Kaido in some capacity for their HUD. HUD is like their wallet extension. They integrated Ethos somehow, and they're doing some sort of referral program. So yeah, also confuses me a little bit, but they're doing something, which again, right, on Chris's kind of theory that the more, the better.
Keep doing something. Go to Griffane's profile. There's actually some pretty big updates from Griffane this week. They're maintaining pretty strong on their strategy of solitude. So the strategy is going stronger than ever before. Actually, no, not a single tweet, not a single post since April 25th. It's now August 7th. So the strategy is going stronger than ever before. The strategy of solitude maintains itself stronger than ever before. So good to see. Good to see Griffin really killing it up top.
I want to look into, all right, so this Singularity, I keep seeing it increasing in price, and I got to figure out what the hell this is. So I'm going to do this live in time. So this is called Singularity, building the DeFi AI super app. It's been getting some attention. So what is going on over here? Looks like another kind of trading terminal of some sort.
It's called Singularity. That's the name of it.
Singularity.
That's the name.
Yeah. Singular. Maybe it was created by a guy named Larry or something like that.
Yeah, it's it's hard hitting stuff, people. It's hard hitting stuff.
So I'm starting to notice a distinct difference between some of the DeFi AI platforms. It's like you either come in and you get like an agent hustle experience where it's like a monolithic all one AI agent, or you come in and you create specific agents for specific things and you kind of go with it in this kind of automated way. It looks like this is what the Singularity is. You come in and you create a certain type of agent, and that one agent is supposed to be like this stupendous version of that. But
it's so dumb. I mean, we've talked about this a million times, Jake. You're a new user and you come to a platform like this and you have to choose an agent, but you don't know which agent to choose because you don't know what to do. I'm like, I don't know which agent I would choose. I don't know what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
And so it's funny to build on Solana, which is a monolithic chain, which is only unilaterally one platform powers all of the others. And then they're taking like an Ethereum modular approach to it, which that's the whole reason why they built Solana, was to not deal with the modular approach. And then they're trying to do it with the AI integration. Doesn't make sense to me, but continue building. I don't know. They're doing Singularity is doing something also. I'm not sure what it is, but Singularity is doing something.
Yeah. I totally agree there. Another platform that's been getting a lot of attention is this one called Codex, which I believe had funding for a while. And it is one of those, you create an agent and come in, create an agent, but they created it for perp trading, I guess is like the best way to describe it. And apparently it's printing a lot of results, at least from what I see. I see some of like the big DeFi. There is some of the large crypto AI. I guess you call researchers like DeFi Jeff and what's his name, Sammy, and a few of these other guys are always noting this one. They never ever note Agent Hustle. It's weird.
You think they're being paid to do that?
It's possible.
I don't know. Not making any accusations. They're not getting paid from Agent Hustle.
You know what's funny is I've reached out to all these guys, DMs, also in the replies, and they just never refuse to include Agent Hustle, unfortunately. So maybe it's just because it's not VC funded.
I like that. I like that.
the underdog. We just got to hustle more.
That seems so corporate. Oh, I'm in a newsletter. I don't want to be in a newsletter. Okay. I don't want Agent Hustle in a newsletter.
I want to be on the timeline.
The Agent Hustle, the #1 performing token in the industry for like the last 3 weeks straight. Oh no, don't cover that. Let's focus on Singularity, like what they're building over there. I don't know. Seems like there's some preferential treatment maybe going on there, and that's a good place to be.
And the
Agent Hustle is an underdog, and I root for the underdog.
Yeah, me too. The back rooms of all this, like the groundwork, is something that gets lost in the timeline when people say when marketing in the chat, right? They're like, why don't you just DM these people and tell them to support you? And like, these are people on the other side who have their own incentive structures. A lot of the exchanges want you to pay literally multiple 6 figures to get listed on something that's just wash trading for the most part, or market make it trading. And so we just have to make decisions based off of where we think is best, and we're continuing to grow. But in an ecosystem like Solana, where there's high frequency, short attention span trading, and you're building a long-term project, right? It's going to take much longer. But the thing that I noticed is when we finished migration, we were at 2 million. Now we're at 14 million. And we went from 600 holders to 2,700 holders. So we've gone like 4.5x by the holder base, and we've gone 7x from the market cap for migration. And so every one of these big spurts up trading, you keep a small fraction of those people to kind of hang around. So I've been kind of using this time to network with all of the new community members who stuck around from this recent uptick and talk with them and educate them. You want them to become familiarized. And this is why you got to take these consolidation periods at heart, sit there and communicate. Like, we picked up some big accounts, right? Crypto ISO, also talked with him on a call as well. Big account, big old school trader, huge believer. Some of these other guys that are putting out threads as well, like Decentralize or Die, Avocado Toast, and some of the people who are still in this chat as well, coming around supporting the ecosystem from multiple angles.
A lot of VC interest, a lot of kind of more institutional interest from not only the platform but the token too. Everything is organic with Agent Hustle. Everything's organic with Emblem Vault. Everything's organic from the team. No one's bought and paid for. There's no incentivized pay for play. Everything is organic. Take it for what it is, but we're like one of the only teams that really has that ideal that everything has to be organic from the start. None of the numbers are fake. None of the integrations are fake. None of the followers are fake. Everything is real. And I think that there's a tremendous amount of value in that. So slow and steady, that's where we go. And that's how we're building this thing out.
That we absolutely are. It takes a while for these things to build. I mean, look at the Emblem Vault community, some of them have been around since 2014, like literally 2 years before the Emblem Vault idea was even created, and 6 years before Emblem Vault even hit a smart contract, right? Because it took 3 years to build. These people still stick around, and they see the vision. Some of these people are even in here in this chat right now, or in the spaces, and then some of the people hanging out, like DC, who's an admin, and Kroon, they're some OG Emblem community members. It just takes a long time to build. I see Hustle token when I look across the Solana space. I compare it to something like Ray, or something like Jito, or something like what is the other one? There's like a few of the like top DeFi tokens. And so you got to play their game. You got to first get into that center conversation. I don't want Hustle to be compared to Bonk. I want Hustle to be compared to Ray, to Radium, right? Or I want it to be compared to I guess Pump also is like a utility token of some sort, right? You want to be in that classification. And so it just takes time, but to be the top AI token on Solana, and once you start playing these tokenomics of buybacks and stuff like that, then that's when you're cemented it as the perpetual winner. So flywheels, I guess.
Flywheels. Such a good point, though, that so many of our followers and investors and fans have been with us for like many years, and like that to me is just like super bullish. We've always done right by our communities, and they place a large amount of trust within the team because we've always been operating with high integrity, and they know that not only are we capable of building what we say we're going to build, but we're going to do right by the community every step of the way. So one of the greatest things over this past couple of months was to see the early believers get rewarded and make some money and kind of just get rewarded for their early belief and support of the team. But anytime I see that in a project, it makes me super bullish, just that they've earned the trust, from showing up every single day, being as transparent as we are, and continuing to deliver. So that's not going to be stopping anytime soon.
Yep. I actually went on a show yesterday from a company called Bid Club. Are you familiar with have you ever heard this one?
Yeah.
So I went on their show yesterday. I think that's supposed to drop today or
I
tomorrow.
didn't know they had a show. That's cool.
Yeah.
Did Nick put you in touch with them? Who put you in touch with them?
No, CK did. CK is our whale overlord who's connected.
I don't know if
us.
he said, but I think that Nick was dropping a thesis on Bid Club for Hustle.
Yeah, Nick too. I'm supposed to talk with him as well. Bid Club is I guess you'd call it kind of like an angel list or kind of like a coin list, I guess. But for the East, it has a gigantic East following. And the founder of Bid Club maybe he saw Nick's post on Bid Club from it. And he was like, I found this token to be super interesting. So I just wanted to kind of learn more about it. And he was pretty interested in like the idea of one token, two platforms. I think that was like kind of what caught the initial interest. And so, yeah, he had some questions at the end around like long-term flywheel sustainability, right? Like how much there was a question, which is valid and something we're gonna have to test in action of how many migrations do exist, right? How large potentially is that market, especially with a one-time fee? And then, is there opportunity to do crossover tokenomics between Hustle and Migrate Fund, which there is, and we've talked about them. And then I don't think he's super sold on the DeFi AI or AI terminal trading experience. Right now, it's more of a novelty, which I think is right. I think he questions a little bit on how large that market could potentially be. Obviously, for us, like we think that's literally how most people are going to be trading crypto 5 years from now. As the models increase, as more people come in, as all these like traditional institutions come in and add support for crypto, like just using an AI interface seems to be a bit normalized.
Yeah, that makes sense. I kind of think that the interface is the key unlock, but one thing that you said there was like posing a question as to how big the opportunity of migrations would be. And is there a point in time where they just conclude and that business is no longer needed? But the way that I think of these launch pads, which I think they feel like a super important niche, is like almost like a GoFundMe or like a just like a way to get your business and proof of concept off the ground. And then it's like training wheels for it. And then you grow up and you become like your own token. And that's when you want to migrate off of your launch pad and control your own liquidity pool and kind of maybe rebrand your token or kind of hone in on some specifics that within your vision that you weren't able to before. And so I think of like these launch pads as filling a super hardcore niche of, which memes work, which communities work, which ones are here to build for the long term. It's a way to kind of get to that the quickest way possible. And then once you do build like a more long lasting and sustainable community, you see that the spark is there. You want to migrate to your own token. And whether that only exists on Bonk Fund or Pump Fund or whatever the Ethereum launch pads are, they're going to exist everywhere. These launch pads, and then over time people are going to want to migrate their communities to their own token standard. And so I think that the vision for Migrate Fund is much bigger than anyone can really see. I don't think that, just like humans have never stopped migrating and businesses have never stopped pivoting, tokens are going to continue to pivot and migrate. So just aside from me,
it's a perfect rebuttal or just explainer on that. One thing I've learned about where crypto is today is that the majority of people who are in it need some sort of safety rails or handholding, right? We come from kind of the early cypherpunk days of crypto, right? We got here in 2016 where there was literally no handholding for anything. You're literally out there in the wild west getting scammed, getting rugged, trial bot fired, accidentally wiping your desktop and your whole wallet gets wiped. Like so much money has been lost. But now crypto's entering the application layer, or you could say it's even in the application kind of era. And so when we had built Migrate Fund, right, our whole idea was yeah, people are going to love to control their own liquidity pool. Turns out people do not want to control their own liquidity pool. And they're more, they side more with this idea of like communal support, community, right? Rewards, incentives, which is completely okay. I think it's actually validating to see that the original thesis of an idea that we had turns out to be something completely different, but also just as large, if not larger, because that shows that the product has legs from multiple angles. I always use this kind of example that the most successful products in crypto are generally used in an unintended way from what the founder had envisioned. You could even say this is always this, even for Bitcoin, right? You can say this is kind of the idea. Ordinals and everything else. Emblem Vault, same idea. And so to see people taking the idea of migrate fund and wanting a different experience or output is just like extremely bullish.
Yeah, I would kind of even counter that even more so in the sense that these are more like stepping stones of responsibility for these tokens. And people are like, well, maybe people won't want migrations because pump funds going to give incentives or bonk funds are going to give incentives. But if they're making decent revenues and rewards from like 10% or 20% of the revenues, a lot of these founders and teams are going to say, I'm losing 80% of these revenues. I'm going to move to my own liquidity pool. And so maybe they won't get it initially, but over time they might migrate again. And then eventually I think eventually most independent teams are going to control their own liquidity like they did in the past. It makes the most sense. And that's just my perspective, is that once they see how much money they're leaving on the table, once they start getting income and the income is somewhat significant and they're saying this is only 20%, this is only 30%, I want the other 75. And then that's when the migration thesis starts to even hit like overdrive. And that's when the narrative gets really big.
You're really speaking on a phenomenon that exists already in the L2 sector. It's always been a fear that once an L2 becomes large enough on top of Ethereum, they're incentivized to create their own chain and to take their own fees. Have we seen that in practice? Not really, but everyone is fearful that that does happen at some point. But that's the natural progression, right? At some point, you're like, why? Let's say you're a Unichain or you're, Robinhood chain who's building an L2, and at some point you're like, why am I paying 5 or 10% of my fees? Why am I paying 10%? I think I heard the show. They pay 10% of their fees to Arbitrum because they're using their tech stack. But if their revenue is $10 billion a year, they're like, why the hell am I paying $1 billion to them? We should just build our own chain. And then I don't have to pay them anything, right? Once you start getting to that, it's kind of the same idea with
and those fees are inverted for tokens, right? They're not paying 10%, they're getting 10%. So the incentive is just much more, once you get a taste of the revenue, to say, I think we actually want all of the revenue. And I think that over long enough timeline, that's exactly the trajectory that we're going for. That's like the niche that Migrate Fund really hits overdrive and really begins to like proliferate as a mainstay narrative.
Yep. Yeah. Couldn't have said it any better. Bullish on the future of the hustlers, the hustle economy, and the hustle versus, I should say. Appreciate everyone for coming in. Maybe we just have to rename this the Hustle Show moving forward. It just gives us.
That's all we want to talk about. I got to be honest. I don't know. We can talk about some of the other platforms, but I mean, the Banker's doing a lot of things. Anon's doing something. Singularity, I don't know. So, yeah, maybe it's the Hustle Show from now on. You tell us. Do you want it to be the Hustle Show? Let us know.
The Hustle Show, man, full in force. Adam's gonna come back and be like, "What the hell happened? You guys rebranded the whole show." This is what happens.
He stepped out for like 2 shows, and we're like changing it.
He's like, "Man, I went to go see my family, and now we've got a new show." But yes, Peter says yes, the Hustle Show. So we
all right. Well, Peter, it's your decision. Let's
running with what Peter says. I appreciate everyone, man. It's been a fun time. The live stream's doing a lot better too, and the spaces. So you can tell the community's grown. We have 23 people in here on the spaces. We have almost 400 people who have tuned in to the live stream at some point in time. Then obviously you get another 20 to 50% afterwards for people who are the kind of late watchers. So, you get 700-800 unique people coming in and tuning in. That's a lot of interest, right? That's a lot of demand, and we're only going to continue to grow it. Thank you, Peter. He says, thank you guys. Amazing work. Yeah, appreciate it. We're always available. We're always active, literally 24/7. We ain't stopping. It's a bright future. August, September, all of that moving forward, going to be a fun time. So stay in the loop. Make sure you guys are following the Hustle account as well as everyone on stage. And we will see you guys next week.
Later. Take care.